Hello my friends and welcome into another video of making a boring engine into a tuner dream engine. It's been also a while since I made the last video of this series, but I'm happy to say this is another episode or another video into that, adding it to that list, which is a requested engine by a viewer by Ford Motor Company. That's the company that made this engine, which was surprisingly nice and very awesome engine. So as always, enjoy the video, have fun of course watching it, and tell me what you think about this engine after you watch this video in the comment section below. So let's start talking about this engine. As you can see, it's obviously an inline 4 engine. It's the Ford Zetec S-SE Sigma, which is, I don't know, I like the name, which is the Sigma. It's a cool like model name, the Ford Sigma Inline 4. That's a cool name. That's a cool name for an engine, like for example like the Iron Duke or many great engine names, like for example the Coyote. That's a cool name also, and other great names that I totally forgot. But it's okay, but because we're only focusing on this one. So this is a cool engine made all the way from 1995 all the way till present, till now. The Ford Motor Company are still making it. This particular one, which is the 2009 model, which is the requested engine by the viewer in his Ford Focus 2009 model manual gearbox. And this thing comes from the factory with normal amount of horsepower, nothing special, nothing in particular cool. In real life, this engine weighs only 87 kilograms, and that's pretty light for any lightweight sports car. And the tuners also love this engine because there are tons and tons of things you can do to this engine to increase its horsepower and torque, like immediately you will get amazing results. So let's talk about the stock version. As you can see, it's an inline 4, obviously made with the block. It's made from aluminium. The same goes for the cylinder head. Double overhead camshafts with 4 valves per cylinder. The bore and stroke for this engine are 79 millimeters on the bore and 81.4 millimeters on the stroke. So the stroke is higher than the bore. That means this engine makes great amount of torque. And that's cool because this engine will be used like in normal hatchbacks, small hatchbacks, or like tiny lightweight cars. So you need good amount of torque. Unless of course you are making a sports car, then you need to tune other things like the camshafts and so on to make good horsepower. So yeah, let's move on. Moving on. The internals are pretty normal cast internals, nothing special, reliable, cheap cast internals. Zero quality, as you can see, nothing special. The compression ratio is surprisingly high on this engine. I was surprised. This is a 2009 model, and this particular model, this one, they call it the SE, started from 1995 all the way till now, till present, and it's 11.0 to 1 since day one. Yeah, 11.0 to 1. That's very high. That's pretty much high compression ratio, and I'm impressed. The cam profile is 36, no VVT obviously. This thing is running like normal mechanical camshaft, nothing special on it. Of course it's naturally aspirated. This thing uses multi-point EFI, regular EFI, single throttle body, standard intake manifold, nothing special. And yes, this thing comes from the factory with a recommendation to use only 95 octane fuel, according to Ford Motor Company website and other those websites that they give you like technical specs about any engine you want. They also are saying the same thing, which is 95 octane is recommended for this engine. So 13.2 is the air fuel ratio, which is not 100% like the real engine, but I had to do it like this. 50 on the ignition timing, 6400 or 6400, that's the official RPM limit for this engine. +6 quality on the fuel system to make it work. We have short cast headers, and of course single exhaust pipe with 1.8 inch exhaust diameter, 3-way normal catalytic converter, no first muffler, and a straight through second muffler with +1 quality. I'm not sure that they have straight through mufflers. They usually put reverse flow muffler to keep it super quiet, and you know, normal quiet, nothing sporty in it. But unfortunately I had to use straight through just to get the exact same horsepower and torque with +1 quality, of course. And this is the final result, 100 horsepower, as you can see, at 6100 rpm. You know, 100 rpm extra from the real engine. The real engine will peak its power at 6000 rpm on the dot. The torque is 107 pound-feet of torque at 3500. Yeah, we are 500 rpm shorter because the real engine push all of its torque up to 4000 rpm. But unfortunately, this is the closest that I got with everything that I've tried. I've tried to play with the ignition, the camshaft, and many things, but I couldn't get get the exact numbers. I mean, I'm talking about peak numbers, but the horsepower number, the torque number, these are 100% perfect. Fuel efficiency, it's not really brilliant. It's not even 20%, but yeah, it's not bad at all. So right now, my friend, we will start tuning this bit and help our friend that has requested this engine replica. So obviously this engine only makes 100 horsepower, 1.6 liter. I'm not gonna use it in the future in BeamNG.Drive because 100 horsepower, I can make that with less bore and stroke with smaller engine. That's why I'm gonna just tune this engine, you know, street tune, not race tune, because people want to. Like anyone that has this engine in real life, they want a little extra horsepower. They don't want 1000 horsepower coming out of it. No, they want to keep it reliable, efficient, you know, with extra oomph inside it or coming out of it or whatever. All right, so let's start tuning it. Let's say our friend here is starting saving up some money to tune his engine. What do you think the first thing that we should start with? Obviously, an ECU tune. That's the cheapest thing you can do, which is you know, like buy an ECU tuner. You know, like it's like a little device you plug into the OBD2 plug or whatever they call it, and you have to select what kind of fuel, what kind of engine you want, and it will program it automatically to a sporty, you know, tune for some sort of type fuel or fuel type that you are using. I have this one on my Crown Vic and it works perfectly. So, and it's cheap, it's not really that expensive. It's like only, I think, $200. I think you can buy a tuner. So let's say you bought this tuner. So the tuner, I think it will play with the fuel ratio and the ignition timing. That's how this thing works. So let's say this tuner adds more ignition. How much horsepower we can get? So we started with only 100 horsepower and now we have 103. So it's like 2 extra horsepower. Not bad. Increase the, as you can see, increase the air fuel ratio like to 13 or to 13.1. Seems pretty normal. This way we got like extra 2 horsepower and like extra, you know, 3 pound-feet of torque. No, not that impressive, but it's still extra horsepower, and now the engine is running more efficient. So it's a good place to start, you know, buying those tuners. Usually on turbocharged cars, these tuners are like heaven, really heaven. Once I saw on the internet, on the same website that sold me my tuner for my Crown Vic, that the current 2018 or 19 F-150, the Ford F-150 pickup with the EcoBoost V6, if you plug that tuner with the latest 95 octane tune and tune your F-150 with the V6 twin turbo in it, you will get 140 extra horsepower. You need to change nothing on your pickup truck. No tires, no air filter, nothing. Just plug that tuner, select 95 octane fuel tune, and you will get 140 extra horsepower. Because the company, or Ford Motor Company, that made this engine, they have choked the tune of it to make it run on 91 octane, for example. But if you unlock it with 95 octane, you will get tons of things. Unfortunately, this engine, it's not the same case with it. We got only extra 2 horsepower. Yeah, it's not bad. It's a nice significant increase. So the next thing is, my friend, I think in real life you can get better results with a tuner. So let's say you have saved more money and now you want to put an exhaust system on your car, you know, to make it sound better and, you know, make your engine breathe better. So as a kit, it will come with a tubular header, as you can see, extra 1 horsepower, extra 1 pound-feet of torque, not bad. It will come like with a high flow 3-way catalytic converter. We still, I mean, we already have the straight through muffler, so job done. Let's see, 2-inch, no. Yeah, let's keep it 1.8-inch exhaust diameter, which seems cool. Let's see, no. Yeah, let's keep it like this. Let's keep it like this then. Alright, so normal kit, as you can see, we have extra 6 horsepower so far from the original 100 horsepower and 112 pound-feet of torque. That's a cool, significant increase. So let's fire it up and let's hear the new exhaust system. Sounds much better, my friend. Really good. Now this engine can shoot all of its gases, you know, in a healthy manner, because nothing is restricting. The headers are good air flowing, and the same goes for the catalytic converter. The same goes for everything on the exhaust side. Now the next step, of course, is change the intake side so you can make your engine to breathe in better and to breathe out better also. So of course you need to go online and go to those, you know, companies like, for example, K&N or JLT, or I don't know, there are many companies that makes you know, cold air intakes kits, you know, 100% like efficient and realistic kits, not those cheap eBay air filters. So let's say you went online and you bought like a high performance like intake manifold with a bigger throttle body, yeah, and of course the cold air intake with, of course, the high airflow air filter inside, so your engine right now can breathe in much better. Now this should make extra horsepower. So what we have here is 107 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. This thing was 6, now 7, so yeah, not much of a difference, to be honest, on naturally aspirated on the same internals. So let's fire it up and hear the new, let's hear the induction noise. Ooh, listen to that. Very nice indeed. So let's see. Now you have better exhaust, you have better intake, so your engine is sounding much better. You have extra 7 horsepower and extra like 7 pound-feet of torque, and yeah, it's pretty nice indeed. But I mean, extra 7 horsepower, you will barely feel it, to be honest with you. So yeah, a nice big step is of course changing your camshafts. There are many companies these days that design and make like high performance or street camshafts, or you know, whatever category you want to choose. A lot of people go with street because you will get, you know, good efficiency and great horsepower and torque, better ones, you know, with bigger valves, and you know, some people will take off the cylinder head and they will just hone it, or you know, make the inlet ports and the exhaust ports, you know, a little bit bigger, you know, machine them. Some people would do that, so let's assume that we did that. So let's move on from regular crappy, as you can see, normal camshaft, to the sport category. So let's see how much we can get, like moving from the green to the yellow. So right now we are in the yellow, and look at the results, my friend. Let's go, like, for example, to let's say 60. 60 is a nice start indeed. It's in the sport category and it's better in every way. So of course, after you install your new cylinder head, your machined one, and then your new camshafts and bigger valves and springs and so on, you need to take it to the dyno so they can tune the ECU and of course increase the RPM, because your power or your horsepower peak has moved very high, as you can see. Look at that, 7,200 RPM and 132 horsepower, 121 pound-feet of torque. Now these are very good numbers. Look at that, look at that. Now this thing should sound mean and brutal now, and 7,200 RPM. Oh, listen to that. Alright, the engine is making very great amount of horsepower, great amount of torque. Now let's see, because when I was searching this engine online, there are tons of forums like talking about putting individual throttle bodies, lots of pictures of this engine with individual throttle bodies. So let's see how much of a difference it will make. Oh, extra 2 horsepower and like minus 2 pound-feet of torque. Now let's assume that from the start you went with throttle per cylinder setup instead of the single throttle body, because I've seen lots of pictures looking like this. This is the engine, and like this, individual throttle bodies, no air filter, just those, you know, just those, what do they call them, cones or something. Nothing, no air filter, nothing, just straight induction individual throttle body action. I've seen many pictures of this engine, the Ford Zetec SE Sigma, with this kind of you know, throttle body setup. So let's say performance. Yeah, performance. As you can see, performance, individual throttle bodies. Now this should sound even much better also. Yeah. Very good. So now the next step is, of course, you have two options: stay naturally aspirated or go turbocharger. Because if you want to stay naturally aspirated, you need to open the engine, you need to put higher compression ratio and better pistons. You need to machine your cylinder head, you know, to make it flow even more air in, and you need like extra high performance or maybe racing camshafts and so on. All these things are costly, they are not cheap at all. And some people will just give up and go with turbo, because turbo, it will cost much less if you want to put like a normal turbo, not a high performance turbo, just a regular turbo. But you know, you get the idea. Turbochargers are expensive, they are not cheap, but they will be much cheaper than opening the engine, changing all the internals, put high performance or racing camshafts, machining your cylinder head. All these things cost money, and I'm not really sure, because sometimes you see people on YouTube putting turbos on their engine and they work perfectly for a while, but then the engine will just explode, or it will lock on itself, or you know, break completely. And some people, they put turbos and they work like forever. So I'm not really sure which is the more reliable approach. I would really love to know in the comment section, my friend, which approach is more reliable: putting a turbo on a naturally aspirated engine, or tune it to be a naturally aspirated all the way. Which one is more reliable? Can a naturally aspirated engine brake also, or because of boost usually the engine brakes? That's why I'm not sure. I would really love to know like which one is more reliable, which approach is more reliable. So let's take both worlds. For example, if I want to put a turbocharger on this engine can only, or the internals can only take 200 pound-feet of torque before exploding. So let's open the engine and keep it, because this engine has very high compression ratio, as you can see, 11.0 to 1. So opening this engine, you need just to put like forged internals, for example. Putting forged internals in allow more RPM, allow more you know, more torque rates, or higher torque rates, which is much better. So right now, just with like forged internals, we can rev the engine up to 8,000 RPM easily, no problem. So let's hear how this thing sounds with 8,000 RPM and forged internals. Very good. I'm impressed, really. So of course, since this engine has high compression ratio, changing the internals to forged, you can put like long tubular headers, as you can see, you know, these, or a custom racing header, like if you have a friend or someone that can fabricate like a very custom racing tubular header for your engine. like go with a bigger exhaust diameter, like 2-inch exhaust diameter, you will get like nearly 150 horsepower. Really, you can get like 150 easily, or even more, as you can see, 150, 54. So it's a pretty good engine, and you will get tons of horsepower out of it. Can you imagine the same car, like right now we have extra 150 horsepower, so we have extra 54 horsepower, and we started with only 107 pound-feet of torque. Now this engine is making 122, and the torque peak is much higher, so win-win all the way. Win-win, my friend. So let's, right now, this is like, you know, this is a quick approach to natural aspirated world. This is a turbocharger, ball bearing. Let's see, select eco, you know, nice, good, efficient start. Put the R ratio to the max, turbine to the minimum. Engine is knocking. So what we need to do is add a little fuel in. As you can see, 169 horsepower, like out of the box. That's it, out of the box. 8 psi of boost, nothing special. I mean, I'm not saying running tons of boost in. This is just, I mean, really basic boost levels, like 8 psi, nothing major, which is absolutely awesome. Like, and the intercooler is not that big. It's pretty reasonable, as you can see. So it's a win-win also. So I would really love to know, which is your favorite approach, turbo or natural aspirated? And as you can see, going with a bigger exhaust diameter add more horsepower, which is very brilliant. So let's see how much horsepower we can get. Let's go 12.5, you know, extra fuel in, and add some ignition. I want to see 200 horsepower. I would really love to see 200 horsepower out of this tiny beast. So 2.5-inch exhaust diameter, 180 horsepower so far. Come on, give me 200. Wow, 1.6 liter engine, and we are about to make like 200 horsepower, and that's absolutely crazy. And can you imagine going back to 1970 and say to people, my 1.6 liter engine can make more horsepower than your V8? People will think you are mad, but that's how good the technology is these days. I mean, look at that, 1.6 liter, and we are approaching 200 horsepower. How crazy is that? I mean, look at that. If I want to go fully bazinga, as you can see, but then the turbo will kick in at 3000 RPM, which is not really efficient. So we need extra boost, and extra boost means extra fuel. So let's push the fuel levels a little bit to extra high, and here we go, 200 horsepower exactly, as you can see. So this 1.6 liter engine is making the same amount of horsepower as my Crown Vic. I have a 4.6 liter V8, and this thing is making nearly the same horsepower, and this is only a 1.6 liter. That's absolutely crazy. I love modern technology, and this is not super modern technology. This is still 2009 technology, because this engine was made in 2009. So if we want to jump ahead like to 2020 or 2019, as you can see, we will even have better numbers. Look at that, 202 horsepower, and the engine is running even extra efficient. So if we drop the air-fuel ratio to make it more efficient, look at that, 201 horsepower, 171 pound-feet of torque. Absolutely crazy. So if you want to go with turbo, you can go with turbo. Let's say you are still using your single throttle body, standard intake manifold, it will do like 190 horsepower. And even if you want to go with let's see, even if you want to keep your stock internals, you can keep your stock internals. As you can see, these are the stock regular cast internals, and yes, you can turbocharge them. They can take all the boost without any problem. That's absolutely crazy. Cast internals making nearly 200 horsepower. I'm speechless. Wow, absolutely crazy. So what do you think about this engine, my friend? Tell me, what do you think? Which version would you prefer? Would you prefer like keeping it 100% stock and turbocharge it, or tune it a little bit and then turbocharge, or tune it all the way to be a naturally aspirated engine. And remember to tell me also which approach is more reliable, turbo or naturally aspirated. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this engine back to 100% stock, 100% stock, and then I'm gonna turbocharge it. You know, add just a turbo kit on it and use it in, you know, in future cars in beamng.drive. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, get subscribed, share the video if you want to share it, and I will see you very very soon with more amazing and crazy videos. So don't forget, if you like my videos and if you want to support the channel, the link in the description below for my Patreon page. You can if you sign up to it, you can download special cars, special crazy replicas, 4K wallpapers, watch behind the scenes, and by doing that you will be supporting the next challenge and the next videos. And of course I'll be giving you my biggest thanks, and of course a special thank you note on my next video. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you very soon with more crazy videos, and goodbye for now, my friends.